Piper in Georgia. Piper, what can we help you with tonight?
Hi. So I went to Recovering from Religion's Zoom meeting that they had this week, and the topic was on sexuality and religion that Dr. De La Way gave, and something about in the way that the church often infantilizes people and kind of like stunts their natural development and growth came up. And I was just, and that really resonated with me, especially as an assigned female at birth person coming out of Christianity. And I was just wondering how that might affect the way that someone like me might approach CGL in a way that doesn't mimic the infantilizing that the church often puts upon women, and that doesn't continue to stunt my development.
Yeah, so I'm hearing that you have had some experiences, some traumatic experiences, for which I want to first start by saying I'm very sorry to hear. And you're wondering how to navigate this space without feeling triggered or without contributing to like re-traumatizing yourself by mimicking some of those bad experiences. Yeah?
Yeah, and just like continuing forward and like catching up in a sense of stages of development that I might have missed.
Sure. Well, I mean, there are definitely ways that these types of practices can be therapeutic. I want to be, kind of gentle in the way that I use that word, but it's not at all strange to think that the way that people interact with one another, the way that they play with one another, can be really healing and transformative. And there are perhaps some opportunities here to explore some unfinished business. And that can look like a lot of different things to a lot of people. But Puck, if you don't mind, you were sharing a story with me before the show that I feel like could be useful here if you feel comfortable.
And so this is where my mind first goes as a CGL Dom is there are. How do I want to start by saying, okay, sex is one of those weird things where they assume that until you reach a certain age, you have no interest in it, you know nothing about it, and you are barred from wanting to learn about it. And if you do, there's something seriously wrong with you. And then once you get past that moment, that exact moment, you're expected to be an expert. You're supposed to know everything that you're supposed to know. And if you don't know it at that point, there's something seriously wrong with you. Most of us will go through some sort of exploration, and sometimes we are lucky enough to have had that exploration and those experiences with people who were helpful with it rather than harmful with it. And one great way that CGL relationships can help you is if you have a Dom who will gently take the lead as you are trying to figure out what you were developmentally need to catch up on, whether it's learning about yourself and what your interests are and what you like, or just bringing you into other sexual interests. The idea of a CGL Dom then is someone who takes the reins and takes the lead, but only moves exactly at your pace, which is something that more people should have that kind of gradual walk. But if you didn't have that, a good CGL Dom would be able to bring you in and figure out where you're at, where you want to go, and know how to bring the relationship there.
Yeah, so how does that resonate for you, Piper?
Yeah, I think what you said about like being expected to have absolutely zero relationship to sex or sexuality, and then all of a sudden being expected to know everything about it is definitely true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's an unfair expectation, and I'd be lying if I said the religion didn't place a lot of that on you. Where and I grew up in a religious upbringing where having sexual interests at all was bad, sure. and then if you go too long without getting married and settling down and having a relationship, it's like, what's wrong with you? Why weren't you able to find someone? And then it's never the religious structure's fault for instilling those values. It's always something wrong with you. And boy, that's one of the things that I wish that and I'm glad that you said you'd called Recovering from Religion from this. I'm glad that there are people who are working on this aspect of religious erasing the difficulties of religious upbringing. So if I may, Piper, and if you are comfortable answering this, what what would you like? What are you looking for in as specific or broad as possible? What are you looking for someone to lead you through it? Like, if someone could regress with you back to the age where you're typically thinking about exploring this, how would you want it to be? What would you like that to be like? What would you like that to look like for you?
I'm not really sure. I've never actually had any type of like physical, sexual, romantic relationship, so I'm not really sure exactly what I would be looking for. And I think that's one thing that kind of makes me hesitant to look into it at all, is like being wary and scared that if something were to be an unsafe scenario, that I wouldn't be able to pick up on the signs.
Yeah. And that's something that you can establish with your caregiver. You can say, you know what, I want a completely sterile relationship with this caregiver, where I know this caregiver cares about me, but isn't trying to seek that kind of relationship with me. Someone who's more an instructor or a guide, rather than someone who's walking you through the relationship as if your relationship was with them. Someone who's saying, okay, well, these are different kinds of relationships that people have, and let's take some time to study and see if any of these resonate with you. These are monogamous relationships. These are poly relationships. These are casual relationships. These are strict monogamous, whatever. All the different types of relationship frameworks. If that's what you need, then certainly there's a good dom out there for you.
And I'll simply say that as you are navigating these spaces, or as you get potentially like around them and sort of rubberneck with curiosity, I'll say that with regards to maybe re-traumatizing yourself, or it maybe made it seem as if you were almost anxious about the possibility of like stunting your own growth through this kind of play. I guess I can't say categorically that that's not going to happen, but I would say that you are allowed to trust yourself. That this is not a medication that you might have a side effect to. This is just a experience that you can go through, perhaps enjoy, perhaps despise, or perhaps feel really neutral towards, and then walk away from. If it becomes a lifelong hobby or fascination, then so much the better. But there's no reason to expect that you would be harming yourselves in these ways as you explore carefully. And, if you do notice some particular trauma, maybe around religion, or maybe because of religion, around sexuality, or around certain periods in your life, then you want to be mindful of that and perhaps go slow. But you can also lean into your own intuition. And if there is something that you are excited about, something that you are maybe fascinated or fixated on, that's probably something that's worth exploring. And if you need to be with somebody who makes you feel safe, or working with a therapist or something along those lines in order to maintain that sense of safety, then that's not a bad idea for you to pursue. But I don't want to leave you with the impression that the things we're talking about are any more inherently dangerous than any other type of relationship or any other type of play between consenting adults.
Yeah. And it also might not be for you at all.
Sure.
Right? And there's no, like, when it comes to going through the discovery, you're going to run into some dead ends. You're going to be like, well, this seemed interesting at first, but then I got to this point. It's like, nope, this isn't going to work for me. So don't feel bad if you try something and it doesn't go anywhere and it doesn't resonate with you. It just means it's time to try something else. There's no one template of relationship or anything that fits everybody. And I think that's one of the biggest things that you push back on when it comes to religion, that tries to funnel you into one type of relationship and family structure. No, the kind of care that you need, the kind of relationship that you need, is completely valid. And I hope that you find the steps to finding that kind of relationship for you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I think that's a really important point about not putting so much pressure on one experience or anything like that, because I think that's something that I'm still trying to walk away from, is like the weight that that these religious structures often do put on sexual interactions.
So if you didn't have that, how freeing would that be for you if you didn't have those expectations where nobody expects you to have acquired a certain amount of knowledge or experience by this time and you could just be you? And wherever you are on this particular journey is absolutely valid.
Thank you. That was really nice to hear.
No, we certainly appreciate you giving us a call. Is there anything else that we might be able to highlight or point you towards tonight?
I think that's it. Thank you for taking my call. I really appreciated this conversation.
Hey, I'm
Appreciate
so
you.
glad to
Thank
hear
you,
it.
Piper.
Yeah.